Good morning. So before I begin, my name is Komal Ahmad. I am the founder and CEO of Copia. And before I begin, I'd love to see a quick show of hands. How many of you have attended a conference, a wedding, had a lunch at Google, and wondered, God, what happens to all of this excess food? Does the bride pack it up and take it on her honeymoon? Does it just magically disappear? Unfortunately, in most cases, this perfectly edible food ends up in the trash. And so I'm here to share how my team and I are changing that reality, how we're dramatically reducing food waste to solve the world's dumbest problem. And before I continue, I want to give a big round of applause to the JW Marriott culinary staff, to the Green Biz team for living their values out loud. Over the course of the 3 events that we've done with them, they've already provided over 1,000 meals. And yesterday, I think that Eric mentioned, we provided over 560 meals. And one of the nonprofits was like, I have never had such amazing chicken. It's like such bougie food. And I was like, yes, that's what's incredible about it. It's incredible food that we all consumed that would have otherwise been wasted, was repurposed to feed those in need. And candidly, I wasn't actually supposed to be here. As the daughter of South Asian immigrant parents, I had 4 very distinct career options laid out for me from an early age. Doctor, lawyer, engineer, or complete failure. Well, I always wanted to be a Bollywood actress. As you'll come to find, I ended up doing something far more realistic, like solving world hunger. And my journey began a few years ago when I was a student at Berkeley, and I was walking down Telegraph Avenue when I encountered a homeless man who was begging for food. Something about him really compelled me to stop and invite him to join me for lunch. And during lunch, he sat across from me just like you are, wolfing down his food. So he was unbelievably hungry. It wasn't a ploy for anything else. And in between bites, he shared a story. He said, my name is John. I just came back from my 2nd tour in Iraq. I've been waiting weeks for my military benefits to kick in. And because they haven't, I haven't eaten in 3 days. And this really hit home for me. This is a veteran, someone who would give the most selfless sacrifice for our country, only to come home to face yet another battle, that of hunger. And then adding insult to injury, right across the street, Berkeley's dining hall is throwing away thousands of pounds of perfectly edible food. And it was a stark reality of those who have and waste, and those who are in need and starve, and those 2 people right across the street from one another. And what I realized that this is emblematic of a much larger problem, and that's that we waste over 365 million pounds of perfectly edible food every day. And to wrap your head around that number, if you imagine the world's largest football stadium filled to its absolute brim, not with last night's pad thai or this morning's half-eaten croissant, but untouched, unopened, perfectly edible food. That's how much food goes wasted every single day in America. And this costs US businesses over $90 billion every year. And if food waste were a country, it would be the 3rd largest emitter of methane after the US and China. So there's a massive economic cost. There's a huge environmental impact, not to mention in some of the wealthiest cities in America, 1 in 4 don't know where their next meal is coming from. So clearly, it's not a lack of food that's the issue, rather an ineffective distribution of that food, meaning that hunger is not a scarcity problem, it's a logistics problem. And food waste, we found out, is also a logistics problem. And that's the logistics problem we've become laser focused on solving. And so, right after I met with John the veteran, I marched up to our dining hall managers and I said, what do you do with your excess food? And they said, well, we try not to have any. And I said, well, how often does that work out for you? And after a lot of pushing and prodding, they admitted that they do have excess food, but they have to throw it away. And so I said, well, why would you throw it away when you could go right across the street to people in People's Park and donate it? And they said, because of liability, we don't do that. I was like, yeah, homeless people's high-powered attorneys are standing by just to sue you. Like, homeboy can't afford a hamburger, but somehow he can afford a litigator? And more than that, you were going to sell this food to us 10 minutes ago at full price. So you're telling me 10 minutes ago it was good enough for Berkeley students, and now 10 minutes later it's not good enough to feed people who are in need, like right across the street? Where's the logic here? And I wasn't going to accept this answer. So I did my own research, and I discovered that in 1996, Congress passed what is called the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act. And it protects all donors, regardless of whether you're a corporation, organization, or individual, from any liability. And get this, in the last 24 years, the number of lawsuits or legal claims that have been filed against any business or individual has been 0. But everybody and their mother has like a second cousin, twice removed uncle's hotel that shut down because they donated food. When in fact, that never happened. And so I print this out, I demand a meeting this time with the executive director of our dining hall, and I say, I want to start this donation program, this is the right thing to do, here's all the protection. I can be pretty persuasive when I need to be. And so in less than 10 minutes he agreed, and we went off to start one of the nation's first food recovery organizations on a college campus, which was essentially students picking up food from our dining halls, our on-campus events, our stadium, our arena, and then repurposing it to the community. Great start, hugely inefficient. One day I'm sitting in class and our dining hall manager calls and he's like, hey, Komal, no one came to this event, so we have 500 gourmet sandwiches left over. They need to be picked up in 2 hours, otherwise we're gonna have to throw them away because we need the fridge space. So do you want them? I'm like, yeah, I want them. He's like, great, come get it, you have 2 hours. Mind you, I'm still sitting in class. And so I grab my bag, I dash across campus, I jump into a zip car, I go through all these one-way streets up to our loading dock, and I begin loading this food into the trunk of my car. And it's perishable food, right? So I have to move as quickly as possible. And so I'm blasting the AC while I frantically try to get these sandwiches in the trunk. And I finally do, and I slam the trunk, and I'm like, phew, thank God this is amazing food. Of course there's gonna be nonprofits that want it. And so then I proceed to call 30 plus nonprofits in Berkeley, in Oakland, even as far as Richmond. I'm like, hey, I have this amazing food, could you use it? Hey, I have 500 gourmet sandwiches, do you need them? A third of them don't answer the phone. A third of them say, no, we're okay, we don't need any more food today. And then the last third are like, actually, you know what? We could use 10 sandwiches or 15 sandwiches. I'm like, great, I have 485 sandwiches. And I swear I was summoning my inner South Asian grandmother. I'm like, hey, you look so skinny, take this food, take it, eat it. It's like a random people on the street. And I remember being pulled over the road so frustrated. Why is it so hard to do a good thing? Why is it so hard to do the right thing? And where are all these hungry people at? I said 1 in 4, where are they when I have this amazing food to give them? And it was this frustration that was essentially the birth of my inspiration. I thought how much more effective, how much more efficient this whole process would be if those who have food could say, hey, we have food, and those that need food could say, hey, we could use that food. And we match these two people, clear the marketplace, and solve a real problem for both of them. So essentially like a Match.com for sandwiches. That's what we went off to build, fortunately something far more sophisticated. And so we started with the nonprofits. So nonprofits, they create profiles on our platform. They'll say, this is who we are, this is what we're looking for, kind of like dating profiles, except they don't lie to us about how many times they go to the gym. They'll say we want prepared, packaged, ready-to-go food because we don't have a kitchen. Or we want uncooked meat, uncooked produce, because we have to cook everything in-house. Or because I'm from San Francisco and people are super fancy, they're like, I want gluten-free vegan food. Like, of course you do. They'll say, this is what our refrigeration capacity is, this is what our freezer capacity is, this is the best points of contact. And to be clear, like, our nonprofits are not just homeless shelters. They are after-school programs for underprivileged youth, domestic abuse shelters, senior citizen homes, veterans agencies. The whole gamut of 400 different types of nonprofits across the country. And so this information is then stored in our virtual marketplace. And on the other side is our donors, and they're our customers. So they are food businesses and businesses with food, and I'll get into that. So our customers request pickups of their excess food. They'll tell us, this is how much food we have, this is the type of food we need it picked up by X time. Great. They're geolocated. And then this information is sent to our virtual marketplace, and it kicks in our algorithm. And our algorithm will match this exact amount and type of food to the nearest nonprofit that could use it at that day, that time, that quantity of food. It'll dispatch a driver nearly anywhere in the United States to go pick up this food, and in, on average, less than 26 minutes, a driver shows up, picks up this food, takes it directly to the nonprofit. The nonprofit confirms receipt of the food. They'll sign this automated, digitized tax deduction receipt, so the business gets to take advantage of the tens of thousands to potentially millions of dollars in tax savings. And then we'll also send them photos and testimonials of the people that were fed. So you get to see the impact you made by spending just a few minutes of your time essentially going Copia. And so it's technology to solve both hunger and food waste at scale. And so our customers are innovative, forward-thinking businesses like Cisco, Intel, the Cheesecake Factory, Whole Foods. And they pay us a monthly or annual subscription fee, not only because we're helping them do a good thing for the community, but because we're helping them do the right thing for their bottom line by helping them save tens of thousands to millions of dollars in tax savings and reduced disposal costs. And so we operate across the country. When I first started off, I was hiring, retaining, insuring, emotionally supporting our own drivers, which is a very expensive, costly process that I do not recommend for any early stage startup. And the thinking was, why are we trying to start Uber? Why are we trying to build Uber while building Copia? Why not piggyback off of this pre-existing logistics infrastructure that exists not only all over the country, but all over the world? And so that's what we've done. We've partnered with two of the largest food logistics companies, which are DoorDash and Postmates. And we've done a webhook integration that allows us to tap into 500,000 drivers across 4,000 cities. And that's why, on average, the food moves from point of pickup to the point of drop-off in 26 minutes. And so we're now a geographically agnostic, nationwide solution. And why do businesses pay for this? So our Congress updated the tax law in 2015. It used to be that only C Corps could get enhanced tax deductions. Now it's S Corps and LLCs, so all food businesses. It used to be that you could only write off 10% of your net income, and now it's 15% with that delta of 5 specifically for food donations. Let's say you're not profitable or you've hit that threshold, you can now carry that forward for 5 additional years. So it makes financial sense for you to do the right thing. And we're also providing you real-time analytics of how many people did you feed, where did this food go, what was your methane offset, how much water was conserved. And we help you celebrate your impact. We tell you your food is too good to be wasted, and we help you celebrate that. You say, you've committed yourself to feeding people and not landfills. And now we're also helping businesses reduce their excess food by using machine learning to develop predictive analytics that help businesses understand, well, why is this waste happening? Is it the Indian food station? Is it the Chinese food station? Is it on Mondays? Is it on Fridays? Is it raining outside so employees didn't commute to work or fans didn't go to a game? What is driving this excess? And then giving them the actionable insights they need to reduce overpurchasing and overproduction altogether. So again, we are solving both hunger and food waste at scale, and I'm also getting kicked off the stage. We're gonna feed 4 million people this year with incredible food that would have otherwise been wasted, which is enough to fill up a football stadium 37 times over. And if you think about that, the Cardinals can't even fill up. Okay. I'm gonna just finish the sentence. If you think about that, the Cardinals can't even fill up 1 NFL stadium, and we can fill up 37. Just kidding, guys, Cardinal fans. I am gonna yield the rest of my time, which I'm out of, but thank you so much.